All right, let's dig in here. Tonight is going to be, should be, quicker than normal. I am planning to see if I can do a 13-minute. I like 13. 13 is one of my favorite. It is my favorite number. So if I can keep these at 13 minutes, that's perfect. Travis Lofke here with the Human Upgrade Project, and we're going to start with Random Squared. Random Squared is just random facts, random interesting facts that I find in this big list on the interwebs. It's actually kind of cool. I'll get into the official episode here in just a couple minutes. I'm just going to do like 2 to 3 minutes instead of 3 or 4 minutes of this in the beginning, so I don't kill too much time. And plus, that many people that come on here anyways, so it's not like it's going to matter. So if you're watching this in replay and you don't want to listen to me ramble on about some interesting facts and get smarter, then just fast forward to about 3 minutes, and you can see what else I'm talking about. And the official episode. Random fact number 1. Plus, it's like super late. I need to get to bed. I'll get into that in a minute. But calling shotgun when riding in someone's car comes from the term shotgun messenger. I'm going to have to read this, so I'm going to put this over here. Comes from the term shotgun messenger, which was used to refer to the guard who sat next to the stagecoach driver back in the olden days. The guards would use a shotgun to keep the robbers and criminals away. It made its way into society because of Hollywood and all of the westerns that they did. That's kind of interesting. I think I had heard about that somewhere before, actually. Here's another one that I heard about. I think this was a couple of years ago, maybe. There were 2 AI chatbots, AI meaning artificial intelligence, created by Facebook to talk to each other. Kind of cool. A lot of AI stuff going on, right? Problem is, they started talking to each other in their own language. They made up their own little language that nobody knew, nobody could understand. All the people that created the AI couldn't figure out what the AI were talking about. That's a little creepy. So they shut it down. Or so they say. I don't know. And number 3 for tonight, Nintendo trademarked the phrase, "It's on like Donkey Kong." They trademarked it in 2010. So if you're saying that at any point, or if you have said that at any point since 2010, just be careful because you're going to get sued probably for copyright or trademark infringement. Yeah, look out for that. Anyways, let's jump right in here. Travis Lofke here with the Human Upgrade Project, where we dissect and deconstruct what it takes to be remarkable and extraordinary as a human being, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And tonight, episode 39, what we're going to talk about. Want to do more? Learn what your minimum effective dose is for anything that you do. I will definitely be expanding on this more in the future. I just wanted to briefly touch on it tonight because you can use this and you'll understand what I'm saying as we go. And by the time we're done, you're going to know, like, oh, I never thought of it that way before. That's actually really interesting and very useful. I'm sure that you'll think that. Minimum effective dose. It's self-explanatory, really, but it applies to everything you do in life. An example of minimum effective dose is in science, for example, or when they're doing studies of vitamins or new supplements or new anything, and they're doing a scientific study and they put people in the study and they say, here is this thing we want you to eat. And we're going to give you 5 grams of it and see what happens. And then they give another group a higher dose, or they do that study. And they're like, well, this group with 5 grams got this result. So let's do a group and give them 10 and see what happens. And they keep pushing it up and up and up and up until they reach the maximum amount that's safe, right? When people start having problems. And that's how they come up with the dosage ranges on things, right? They say, okay, this, and then they take it down also. Let's do 4, 3, 2, 1 grams, and let's see what happens. I know, they do all the studies and testing and everything else on animals too, right? That's just what they do. just conveying the message. So they take that information and they apply it to humans and figure out the minimum effective dose that you need to take to get a result based on the studies that they did. So that's why they will say, for example, like on aspirin or something like that, take this amount. If you are giving this to children, give them this much. If you're an adult, take this much. And then they always have the don't take more than this in a 24-hour period because they've done studies, right? But the initial dose that they tell you to take is based on a minimum effective dose that they've studied and proven for the majority of people to work. Now, how does that apply? How does the minimum effective dose of aspirin apply to you in your life? You can apply it to anything. What's the minimum amount of time that you need to learn something? What's the minimum amount of time you need to study something to remember it? To study something to remember it long term, for short term? What's the minimum effective dose of a new training program, a new nutrition program, a supplement, a workout supplement, a vitamin, sleep? What is your minimum effective dose of sleep? I know mine. My minimum effective dose, right around 5.5 hours. Works really well. I know my minimum effective dose for every supplement that I take, yeah. And if I don't get an effect, what made me think of this was I heard a podcast that they were talking about how a lot of people, and I used to do this. I'd be like, oh, they say you're supposed to have, you need, well, there's different things, right? 0.7 grams of protein per kilogram or 1.5 grams per pound or just all these crazy things. And there's been studies done on them. You can find studies done on anything and then confirm your bias into that. I've talked about that before too, right? I know somebody that's really smart that's in the fitness that confirmed their bias that artificial sweeteners are not bad for you because there was a study done. There was a complete pile of crap study. Anyways, so I would do these things like protein, right? Taking all this extra protein every day. Did it help? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. And that's why you pay attention to what you're doing when you're doing it. And you figure out what works and what doesn't and how much you can take and how much you need to take. There are things that I take, oh geez, let's see, 1 serving, I do 3 servings, I do that 3 times a day. I take about 10 times the amount that is recommended. It's not my minimum effective dose, but it's the minimum effective dose for what I need while I'm training and doing certain things. Going back to the protein example, I now do, if you take protein at all, you get a little scoop in it, right? Or sometimes a big scoop. I do, on a training day, I may do 1.5 scoops total throughout the day, which ends up being around probably 40 grams of protein extra. I think. I don't know. I don't count it anymore. I don't do macros because I don't like doing macros. One day I will hire somebody, a nutritionist, to do that for me. But I know just based on past history, the minimum effective dose of certain foods that I need to perform at a certain level, I'm going with the minimum effective dose of everything else. The nice thing about that is I know that, for example, I'm just going to use protein a lot here. I used to spend a lot of money on protein. I spent a lot of money on other supplements and things like that, but I used to spend a ton of money on protein too because I was taking like 5 or 6 scoops of it a day. Now I take 1 to 2, sometimes half a scoop a day. It lasts forever. And I've noticed that I still recover the same. I still feel the same. Everything, there's not any real discernible difference. So why, between taking 1 scoop to 2 scoops versus 5 or 6 scoops? That's me, though. That may not be the same for you. And that's what you need to determine in anything that you're doing, is you look at what the recommended dose is for anything. For example, learning a new language, or learning ballet, or starting a new training program. There will be a set schedule, a set routine, a set something that was put together by somebody that's probably smarter than you and me put together, and in that specific area. So follow it, and then figure out, yeah, I think this is a really good book, that one, and then Expertise and Expert Performance, the Cambridge Handbook of Expertise and Expert Performance guide. So basically this comes down to studies into what makes people extraordinary and remarkable. And it boils down a lot into deliberate practice of the minimum effective dose of what's needed to excel. Because you can do the minimum. If you're not doing at least the minimum, what you need, then you're not going to make any progress. But if you're doing too much, then you're going to go backwards also. You're not going to make any progress, because you're overstressing your body or your mind or whatever you're working, and it's not going to make a difference. So you have to find the balance. Start with the recommended dose. Increase, decrease. I'm not giving any I'm not giving any kind of like medical advice or anything like that. So if you go out and take like 10 times the amount of some supplement, don't come blame me because you're stupid. I mean, you got to listen to your body and pay attention to some things. I had a friend that gave me some, my friend Shuri, who's a nurse, she gave me some tips on some different supplements. And she goes, okay, just only take this amount. This stuff's, you have to be really careful with this. Only take this amount. And she knows things don't affect me like normal too. So I was like, okay. And she goes, no, seriously. I mean, it was very, very important that I only did exactly what she said. And I do listen to people when they tell me certain things like that, especially people that I respect and that I know are super smart. And she told me, don't be stupid. So that's what I'm telling you. I'm just conveying a message when you're looking for the minimum effective dose and what a potential maximum effective dose. That's a whole nother thing that we could talk about too. But the minimum effective dose is the best way to look at everything, because what's the minimum amount of time you need to spend with friends to have fun? What's the minimum amount of time you need to spend in the gym to actually get the results you want? What's the minimum amount of time you need to spend reading to actually become more intelligent? What's the minimum amount of time you need to spend meditating, visualizing, doing anything that you do? That's how, I have a matrix and a whole, framework and all that kind of stuff, and overlapping circles and side effects and all this other thing that I use. But that's the minimum effective dose is how I am able to do so many things that I have done and still continue to do without completely going insane, just partially. With that said, I'm at about 13 minutes right now. I'm actually 14 and a half minutes, but I'm taking a little time off because of the beginning. Quick recap. In anything you do, mind, body, spirit, and when I say mind, body, spirit, I mean I'm talking about like physical stuff, nutritional stuff, things that you're playing a guitar. If you're learning how to play the guitar, if you're learning how to sing, if you're learning how to do anything, or you're changing your diet or your nutrition. There's another good one. I'm going to say this one real quick, is the minimum effective dose of food. I now eat, sometimes I only eat once a day. Usually I eat twice a day, but then there's days where I'm like, you know what, I'm really hungry and I eat. And people are like, oh, you're doing a fasting thing. No, I'm just doing a thing that like, I don't have a lot of time and I feel fine. and I'm getting the nutrition and I'm recovering like I need to because I pay attention, and I'm not starving or hungry. So why stop and take time to eat when I don't need to? Not just filling this hole in my face with stuff because I can. I'm doing it because it's necessary to stay alive and continue making progress in the physical sports and athletics that I do. So think about that. Minimum effective dose. Let's do a couple other examples real quick. What's the minimum amount of water you need? Do that. Make a quick list. Minimum amount of water. You actually can drink too much water and die. That's actually kind of ironic, right? But minimum amount of water you need. You can use what other people say, 8 glasses a day or some whatever. It's the minimum amount of sleep that you need. I know, I'm really surprised how many people actually know that now. I know a lot of people, I've run into people that are like, if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, I know some people are say, if I don't get 9 hours of sleep, 10 hours of sleep, they feel like garbage and they just don't function. And there's people like me that if I get more than 6.5, unless it's a special circumstance, I feel like garbage and crap and everything else. So make a quick list. Water, food, time alone if you're always out and about, time with people. I have a minimum effective dose of time going out and talking with people and stuff like that, because I don't do that a lot. So minimum effective dose of coffee, because I know a lot of people drink coffee all the time, right? Because you have to have it because it gets you going. I wish it would get me going, but it doesn't. I'm going to drink this and then I'm going to go to bed because it'll make me nice and sleepy. That's it. That's all she wrote. And I will expand on this more. I like this topic, minimum effective dose. I'm going to build this into the program after the sleep program. After that, actually, well, yeah, that'll work. I'm going to do the energy upgrade after the sleep upgrade because, or at some point in there, they fit so well together, and I have been focusing on both, so I might as well do both. And that's all I have for tonight. I'm gonna go do the dishes, do my little nightly routine, go to bed. If you enjoy this, any aspect of this, please share, share, ask questions. At some point, somebody will watch this till the end and they will ask a question. I do have a few people that like to ask questions, so ask away. Like, share, comment. Just say hi. And that's all I've got. So make it an amazing day, because it's better than the alternative.